should I move out at the beginning of a divorce case? So should I be moving out beginning with a divorce or even at the beginning of a child custody case? Let's say you're never married, but you're living together, you have a child together, one of you is moving out. Is that something that you should consider? You know, is your wife telling you to move out, girlfriend's telling you to move out, whoever it is? Is this something you should do? If so, you know, what's the advantages to living apart? What's the disadvantages to moving out? What's the problems with it? Well, you know, so I had a client recently where this came up and it got me on this topic was, you know, he's actually joint on the lease, so they're renting an apartment together. And he's somebody, he didn't have a lot of money. He can't afford to just pay this apartment lease and not live there. But him and his girlfriend weren't getting along, and they had a 3-year-old child together. And he agrees to move out. He gives his girlfriend the key to the apartment, and he's still on the lease. It's still a joint lease, mind you, but now he doesn't have a key, he can't even get in. And she won't let him in, and turns out she has a boyfriend. So she wants to stay there with her boyfriend and her kid, and she's got him out. And now she's telling him that he can't come to the apartment. He doesn't have a key to get in. Of course, he could go to the landlord and start down that road. But basically, she's telling him she wants half the rent from him, and he can't afford it. There's no way he can pay for a whole other place to live. He shouldn't have moved out in the first place, and this is causing all these problems. So why did he have all these problems? Well, what led to all this was him moving out without a plan. It's okay to move out. I mean, when people aren't getting along anymore, they shouldn't stay living together. You don't want to be there driving each other crazy, right? So if the plan is to move out, you do it. You just want to do it the right way. You want to go about it the right way. If there's a divorce coming, you want to get a divorce case filed before anything happens, and then you can enter a temporary agreement. So if one of you is moving out, you just want an agreement in your divorce case that talks about what's going to go on with custody and what's going to go on with parenting time and maybe even child support. Or if there's no child support, what's expected of you as far as paying the bills. You want to know what all that looks like before you move out. Once you move out, you have no strength to negotiate. Now this person doesn't want to work with you anymore. They'll tell you can't see your kid. They'll tell you can't come to the house or the apartment or whatever it might be. They'll tell you whatever they want because you're out of their hair. They got you paying the bills or part of the bills, or maybe they'll start a child support case against you or whatever it might be. And it's all because you moved out. So moving out is okay. We just want to do it the right way. We want to have an agreement before anybody leaves. What's going to go on? What's expected? When are you seeing the child? What's expected with the bills? Now the thing is to keep in mind, you can get an agreement, but if there's no court case filed yet, there's really no valid agreement. There's not really an agreement between a boyfriend and a girlfriend about their kid that's going to be enforceable by a court. There's not an agreement between a husband and a wife when there's no divorce case filed yet that's really going to be something you can enforce and count on. There's no contract. You know, the concept being, if there's no lawsuit filed, because a divorce case is a lawsuit, a custody complaint, a custody case is a lawsuit. If there's no lawsuit filed, then how can there be an agreement settling the lawsuit, right? I mean, that's sort of the logic. So you're not going to really be able to do any of this without some kind of court case. So your order of operations is going to be before you move out, and you can do this all right away, but you'd want to get a divorce case filed. You want a temporary agreement in writing before you leave. Or in a custody situation, you want to get a child custody case filed. In Michigan, that's where I'm at. I'm a divorce family law attorney here in Michigan in the Metro Detroit area. In Michigan, you want to get a child custody case filed before anybody moves out. Because this client I'm talking about, I mean, you know, he's driving him crazy now. He feels like he can't go to the house. The boyfriend's like threatened him. He feels like he can't go back to that apartment. He doesn't even have a key. Now he's got to figure out how to get back in. He really doesn't want to live there anyways. And of course, what a surprise, she's not letting him see his kid, right? I mean, that's just all, it's all very foreseeable when you're looking back at it, and you want to just stay away from it. So you want to learn from his mistakes. And it's not his fault. He doesn't know. How's he supposed to know what the laws are? How's he know when he leaves that she's going to then start expecting him to pay the rent? That's not reasonable, but that's how it ended up happening. So you want to be wary of those kind of things. And you know, another issue with moving out is whether your property is going to get destroyed if you're gone. So if you trust each other, if you think it's going to be okay that you're no longer at the house or the apartment, and she's not going to destroy your favorite guitar or whatever prized possession you might have, then that's okay. But you might want to look at getting an agreement on taking some of that stuff with you before you leave. Then you're not worried about it. Or taking your tools with you, or your clothing, or your whatever it might be. You want to get an agreement on those things before you leave, because when you're living together and no lawsuits are filed, no divorce cases, no custody cases, you're free to do whatever you want. Take whatever you want. It's your stuff. She could take whatever she wants. It's her stuff. So it's really kind of the Wild West. The marriage is just kind of one big trust fall. Every day you get up and agree to live by these rules and stay married, or boyfriend, girlfriend, also true. I mean, you have a kid together, so you're staying together, and you're kind of assuming you can trust the other person and they're going to do what's reasonable, but you don't know. You can't really count on it. You can't predict it. And if there's trouble and somebody's talking about they're moving out or you should move out, you want to get ahead of it. Make sure your stuff's not going to get destroyed. Make sure there's not going to be problems with the bank accounts. If there's a joint account, you want to be worried about that. So moving out of the house can bring with it all those sorts of problems because you start losing control over the finances, losing control over what's being spent at the house, what's going on at the house, whether the boyfriend's there or not there. So you want to be wary of all that. And you want to keep an eye on what the bills are, what your budget looks like. You don't want to move out and you're under kind of one assumption about what you're expected to pay when you're no longer there, and your wife, or if you're not married, or your girlfriend has this sort of idea of what they think you're going to pay now that you're gone, and it's not going to work, and you really don't have much room to negotiate anymore. If there's a lease or a mortgage or utilities or these other things with your name on them, you know you have to pay them, your name's on them. So you'd want to know before you leave if there's going to be some agreement that your wife or girlfriend, whoever it is going to pay part of that stuff. You want to get some kind of an agreement that's enforceable. You want to be able to count on it. You want to know what's going on with the accounts. You want to know what's going on with the living arrangements and stay ahead of it. There's also this concept of abandonment that'll come up. You know, I heard I can't move out because of abandonment. That's really, I mean, honestly, that's a myth. I mean, abandonment would be you left for Costa Rica and were never heard from again, and you have kids. Okay, I mean, after years, that could be considered abandonment. It could end up being a crime, could be a failure to support kind of situation. That's not what's going on. If you move out for a few months, it's not abandonment. If you leave the apartment, leave the house, whether it's a divorce or a girlfriend or whoever, and you have kids together and you've left, that doesn't mean that you're in trouble for abandonment. That's absolutely not what that is. That's a total myth. I know a lot of people think that's what it is, or they're worried about that. Now, it's good that you're worried about it because it is the right concept. The idea being I should be worried if I'm thinking about moving out and I have kids, because it can bring with it all these other problems. But it's not because it's an issue of abandonment. You really don't have to be worrying about that whatsoever. It's just not a thing. So hopefully all these things help. You know, we're here to help. Any questions, let me know.